We are officially live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Have a look at our pages. That's CCFM 107.5, both on Instagram as well as YouTube. In fact, excuse me, Facebook and YouTube. We played some music from Senior Oat as well. Also, Artwork Sounds ahead of that with For Your Glory. And of course, Worship House Africa for Jesus just before the news at 5. A very good afternoon to you if you've just tuned in. And of course, we are going to give you a quick summary of what you would have heard of the past 3 weeks. And before I get into that, I want to say hello to Elena, looking absolutely gorgeous. How are you?
Hello, Natasha. Hello, listeners. I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I just want to say, live on air,
Oh,
guys, her fit. I don't know, like what is the inspiration? It's giving Pinterest. It's giving. I put it out the night before.
Ooh.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
Have
put
you?
in some effort this morning. I did.
No, you look stunning.
Thank you.
Listen, it's Tuesday. We are of course just going to be going through the conversations we've had in the past 3 weeks. Have you had a good week though? Have you had a good Tuesday?
Yes, I have.
Mhm.
I've yeah, as always, I think I'm really glad to be here. You? What about you?
Good,
Yeah.
good. I was saying with Ntiki, I started running
Oh,
consistently and working
lovely.
out.
I love that for you.
So it's really tough, but
Yeah.
at least I started. So my body is very sore as I'm sitting
Okay.
here, like my legs, everything is sore.
But it's
But
a
that's
nice
good
soul.
though.
Yeah, like a
Yes,
fun soul, like an accomplishment soul.
exactly. So you're just gonna keep going. But I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. Now, Elena, of course, is the managing director for Al Incorporated, and as mentioned, we started this feature. I think I want to say 3 months ago, and we've had various conversations. But of late, we've spoken about discipline and dismissals, what's fair and what's legal. And then we also touched on employment contracts and policies, the foundation of a healthy workplace. Week 3, we touched on, and this was last week, workplace investigations, how to handle misconduct the right way. And before we just sort of dive into it, a summary of each with Elena, want to also just mention that we've got a Q&A session just before we wrap up. So if you sent your questions last week, we are going to get into that, further on into the conversation. And if you have a question as we're speaking, I want to invite you to send it through on 061 798 1075, as well as, of course, leaving a comment on Facebook and YouTube. Elena, very quickly, and I think just to give a brief summary, of the said topics, what does that look like on your side? And for anyone who maybe didn't really get to tune in and wants to at least take something away, what can you say?
All right. So the first week, as you already mentioned, we spoke about discipline and dismissals, what's fair and what's not fair. The key topics that we covered in in that segment was substantive and procedural fairness. We discussed that both for a dismissal to be fair or for disciplines to be fair, it must be both substantively fair and procedurally fair. Both must be present. We also opportunity when somebody does something wrong. Um, it's an opportunity to correct and bring in line that person or employee's conduct to fit the culture of that organization. Key topics we discussed there was the importance of contracts and that all roles are defined clearly and delineated clearly. And then POPI compliance, we also covered the importance of making sure that the employees' rights as far as the POPI Act is adhered to. fact as well. And then last week, which should be fresh in the minds of the
Yes.
listeners, was workplace investigations, how to handle misconduct the right way. And the key topics there was initiating investigations and choosing the right investigator, whether it's internal or external. We discussed that in a lot of length as well. Um, when to limited time, and we hope that we can meet that target today and
Absolutely.
address everyone's questions.
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting is that, I mean, we did get a bit of engagement, I think, especially talking about the workplace and
Yes.
talking about, the fair and what's legal when it comes to disciplinary hearings and dismissals, because this is something, again, a lot of us sort of deal with. And it might not be a direct um, instance. Maybe you know someone who has been involved, in an unfair dismissal, for instance. Maybe you are someone that has not really looked over your contract and you've missed those T's and C's. You've missed the most important parts. And I think this is why we had and have had this segment and feature, because we're wanting to bring about
Special advice, then you have to have a consultation, and we can unpack in full detail. But so that's a disclaimer, I think, to every question that we'll address throughout the show today. But yeah, coming back to the question, so if you are if you are dismissed, right, and it is an unfair dismissal, then you can lodge your complaint with the CCMA. You must lodge that complaint within 30 days of being dismissed. If not, you can apply for condonation, but then you have to explain to the CCMA why you're doing it late.
Yeah.
And ignorance of the law is no excuse, so you must have a legitimate excuse, like you were ill, or what, I don't know what the excuse could be, but in some cases there are legitimate excuses. But in any event, you can lodge the your case with the CCMA, and then the CCMA will then interrogate the case, and if need be, will set out a date for conciliation, alternative arbitration if the parties can't settle it via mediation. But that would be your first point of call. You would go to the CCMA here at Cape Town City, and you'd lodge your complaint. Look, so it doesn't mean that you not every circumstance requires written warning. Some conduct is so gross, it's so serious, that an immediate dismissal, obviously I say immediate, um, but still having regard for the procedural fairness
Right.
aspect of it, still going through the disciplinary
Right.
hearing and the fair suspension, all of that. But in some cases, yes, it does. It can warrant an immediate dismissal. Some actions can. So we don't know the
Mm.
circumstances, but it can. But if they do want recourse, then they can go straight to the CCMA
Yeah.
and lodge. I think, I mean, bearing in mind the timelines, I think they're still within that timeline, so they should lodge as soon as possible.
The timeline you mentioned, Elena, you
30
said
days.
30 days.
Yes,
30
a
days.
calendar month.
Right. And just to go back to that again, of course, we don't understand the context of Anonymous's, sort of reason for the dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
And as Elena has mentioned, some instances can be severe, I guess, that
100%.
it would not necessarily require an immediate written warning,
That's right.
but it could, result with an immediate
Dismissal.
dismissal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anonymous. And then just moving on to our second question. This one says, "Hi, sisters. I just need to know, how does an employee go forth if you work more than 12 hours per day and gets 2 weekends per month off? We work 288 hours per month. However, the company pays us 174 hours. We've joined a union recently, and guys are now intimidated by operations director to leave union and get victimized. Once again, it's not an unfamiliar scenario. And so I think understanding the question here, Anonymous is wanting to know, or it sounds like there is it's a pay issue. So they're paying less than what they've worked. I don't know. You can guide me
100%. So
on
it
that.
does sound, I think you're right. I think it does sound as though Anonymous is working a certain amount of hours, but not getting paid for that hours, essentially. And that is, I mean, in the basic form, it's unfair, right? Because every hour needs to be accounted for. I don't, though, know. um, contact your managers, contact your superiors in the organization, and see if you can mediate the situation inside. It also demonstrates to outside organizations like the CCMA or the labor court that you've exhausted all your remedies internally, and you have no other choice but to now come to the labor court or the CCMA to address this issue or to mediate between the parties. So I would say your first point of call is always try and deal with it internally.
Yeah.
If find someone who's objective and to facilitate the mediation between the employees and the employer. In your circumstances, it should have been, the union representatives. Yes. I also don't know what industry you're in, so I'm not sure what union represents your industry of employ, but you are saying that there is a union, so they should be able to facilitate these mediations effectively. And when there's this level of tension, employers must also watch out for suppositions, and that they don't let the imagination run amok with them, because I understand that when there's a tenseness when it comes to discussing remuneration
Yeah.
and when a workplace is so toxic, there's a automatic lean
Yeah.
towards, giving into the gossip and the suppositions and the aspersions cast
Corridor
against,
talk.
yeah, against the managers and so on.
Yes.
So you must also be careful of that you're not making it bigger than it is. And I don't want to take away from your cry for help here, but just do exercise caution when it comes to how you interpret certain things. So
Mm.
bring in someone who's maybe more objective that can facilitate a discussion with between the parties. And if your union representative that's been assigned to you isn't giving you joy, then contact the union department and
Yeah.
ask for someone else.
Mm.
If you feel as though these people are not giving effect to your voice, then there are other people within that the collective that can assist you, that maybe is more senior or more experienced
Yeah.
in these kind of things. So maybe you just working with a junior union, who knows, I
Yeah.
don't know the circumstances, but there is recourse for you. If you don't get joy internally, which I do see that you are or you have explored as employees, you can go to the CCMA.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up with the this last question before we say goodbye. Time is just going so
Sure.
fast. Now, perhaps you are also sitting at home and you are going, listen, I have a problem with this organization that I work at. Nowhere in their policies are they aligned, to the BCAA, and I have queried this and I'm not finding any help. And that is exactly what Anonymous has queried here. It says, thank you for the informative program. What should I do if a company is not being compliant
Hmm.
with the BCAA? Labor Department is not responding. What do I do?
um, so, I mean, Anonymous is on the right course.
Yeah,
So, yes, you can lodge a complaint with the Labour Department as well. If you are not getting joy there, then you can go to the CCMA. So, the CCMA doesn't just deal with unfair
hmm.
dismissals, they also deal with unfair labor practice. And it is an unfair labor practice if an organization doesn't keep to the terms of the Basic Conditions of Employment
Yeah,
Act or its contract or its policies, etc., etc. So you can go to the CCMA if you're not getting joy with the Labour Department. It also demonstrates that as an employee, I beg your pardon, you have done, everything reasonably
yeah,
possible to try and get your matter resolved or your dispute resolved. If you haven't yet, I'm assuming that you have directed your queries to the organization that you employed with. So you've notified them in writing, hey, I have this issue. You are not complying with the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. So what we call is what we'd say is we'd write a letter to the employer. As an employee, you'd write a letter to your employer stating these are your issues and giving them a certain timeline to respond. If they don't respond, you take the matter outside of the organization,
yeah,
either the CCMA or like this individual already has done. They have gone to the Labor Department. So, yeah, if you don't get joy at the Labor Department, go to the CCMA. If you don't get joy at the CCMA, you are also entitled to go to the Labor Court. The nice thing about the way our legislators have developed the Labor Court and the CCMA is that it is accessible to the layperson.
mm,
So there are practitioners in the court that you can go to for advice. The registrars at court are also competent, so they usually guide you. If you
yeah,
go to the labor court, they usually guide you through the process, what to do, what not to do.
mm,
And at the CCMA, the same there. The
mm.
commissioners are quite informed, and they know exactly how to guide the public. So it's at least it's good in that instance that
Yeah,
there's these departments that can assist.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what I do want to add is that it also highlights, though, the importance of organizations updating their policies
Mm.
consistently, so to avoid, such situations. It's 17:37, Elena. There's so much we could get into as it pertains to these questions, but I think for anyone that maybe has additional questions when it comes to what should be included in a solid employment contract, for instance, and whether or not interns and temporary staff even need employment contracts, and those type of questions, where do our listeners find you? How can they get in contact with you?
Please send us a WhatsApp on 065 8444347. I'll repeat that number, 065 8444347. Or you can email us at hello at al-inc.co.za.
Fantastic. Robin says, thank you, Elena, for all the help. Ashwin Hewitt as well on Facebook reacting there. And Robin adding that this has really been so helpful. So it's bittersweet because we are wrapping up the series.
It's all bitter for me.
Not sweet.
Not sweet. No, to say goodbye is
Yeah.
is hard. I've enjoyed my time here with you,
Yeah.
Natasha.
No, it's been fantastic.
Immensely.
It's been fantastic. It's been very insightful. But it doesn't have to end here, family. As you've heard, Elena has given out her contact details. And please, as always, if you are wanting us to send you those contact details, drop us a message on WhatsApp 061 798 1075, and we will answer any questions that you have and, of course, connect you with Elena. That is Elena Leovendahl, the managing director, of course, for Al Incorporated. Thank you so much.
Before she
My
goes,
pleasure.
I want to say something.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
We had
Ooh.
someone walk in.
Ooh.
Walk in the door. Hello, Naziki.
Hi, I'm still here. I'm
Yes.
still here. I want to say thank you so much for being a phenomenal, what do we call her? Segment on the show. Not only have you blessed our listeners, we appreciate the cappuccino, the hot chocolate, and we wish you nothing but the best. And as Tash said, her details are available. You definitely want to partner with them in whatever you want to do, all things legal.
Oh, thank you for that.
Oh, listen.
I appreciate that, eh?
No,
My
let's do that
goodness.
every Tuesday.
Where? I was going to say, where have you been Tuesdays?
My goodness. Thank you, Brante. We love it though.
We love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elena. We've got traffic in the next few seconds with Nziki, of course. And as mentioned, you can rewatch the video